The idea of a female villain is frightening in my opinion. I don't know how everybody else feels about it, but for me, it's extremely frightening. Why? Because of the fact that people do not view women as being evil. So when a female villain pops up out of nowhere, she is basically intriguing in my opinion because of the fact that you don't think of women as being evil. You don't think of a woman as being able to remove her emotions from a situation, because when you look at women you think, oh, they're emotional, every decision they make is based on emotion. And then here comes Alpha, and Alpha completely bucks the system when it comes to being a woman and a villain in my opinion. But I'm Sage Valentine, and this is my review of AMC's The Walking Dead Season 10, Episode 2, entitled, We Are the End of the World. So, I watched this episode twice, because I say, you know what, I'm going to sit up here and watch it early in the morning, and then watch it before it airs. So, the first time I saw it, I was trying to figure out this one part, because I was like, why did that happen? And then when I watched it a second time, I said, now I get it. Now it all makes sense. This is what I get for trying to look at my phone for like a brief second during an episode of The Walking Dead, particularly in this season, because if you miss 1 second, you miss a lot. So far this season has been different because the overall like storytelling is different, because in the first episode they jumped from like the different perspectives of different characters and basically brought all these perspectives together as they looked up in the sky and saw that Russian satellite on fire, looking like a shooting star or something, burning and falling from the sky. So in this particular episode, the storytelling jumps from the past to the present, to the past and to the present, but it does so in such a seamless way that it doesn't take you out of the storyline. You're not sitting up there saying, well, why the hell are we going back? Like, what's happening here? It goes along with it. Also, you get more information on Alpha and Beta, and you get it in a way that makes sense. It's not taking you out of the storyline. It's just like, okay, that makes sense, because if you read the comics, and this is a spoiler, so I'm letting you know there are spoilers in here. This video will be labeled spoiler laden, spoiler full, for those who don't want to hear the spoilers from the comics or the show, because they haven't watched the show or haven't read the comics. But we don't have a backstory on Alpha and Beta. We don't know anything about Alpha and Beta, so I feel like this gives us a kind of background on those characters. So when the creators of Walking Dead were talking about how, and the showrunner and such, were talking about how they were going to do a backstory on Alpha and Beta, I said, okay, I want to see how they're going to do this, because I like where they're going with Alpha and Beta. So I was like, I want to see how they're going to do it. And I feel like they handled it pretty well. And I'm waiting to see the one that they claim is going to pop up soon of Negan, because we did get a background on Negan as far as the Here's Negan comic book series. It's like a teeny little novella. But I want to see what the show is going to do with that. Will we get to see the real Lucille? But anyway, let's get down to this review. So basically, as I said before, this episode is a flashback story involving Alpha and Lydia and Beta, and it takes place 7 years prior. In the opening of the episode, I didn't know what was going to happen with this woman. I'm like, is she somebody that Alpha knew? Is she a part of Alpha's group? Like, what's going on? And then you see her, like, trying to battle her way out of the car, trying to hide under the car, getting grabbed, her ankle bit, and then she is basically Walker Chow. So I didn't realize it the first time I saw it, but I was just like, dude, you know, that is an omen that that's going to happen to somebody in this episode. And I didn't even pick that up until I watched it the second time. So I was like, oh, damn, she got all torn up. And they made sure we saw it. It reminded me a lot of that episode a few seasons back when everybody thought Glenn had died. It really was Nicholas getting torn apart. Yeah, I was like, I don't really need to see this, but I put myself through that scene again just to rewatch the episode. So as that lady's becoming Walker Chow, or either she was in the car, one of the two. But during that scene, we see Alpha and Lydia covered in like blood and entrails. Sound familiar? Because remember, Rick and them did it. Then Negan and Father Gabriel did it, even though it caused Father Gabriel to get sick. You know how that went. But still, Alpha did it, so it's a universal thing people have thought of. So anyway, we see Alpha and Lydia traveling incognito, and the sight of that woman getting killed basically frightens the hell out of Lydia, and Lydia starts screaming, and Alpha's not happy, and they basically have to seek shelter within this building. And to do so, like, Alpha has to battle these walkers, and it's looking a little bit shady. And the next thing you know, they end up in the building and they come across this really big, imposing man with a ski mask over his face. And that's obviously Beta. But he's not Beta at that point. He doesn't even have a name at this point. I think he has a name, but he doesn't go by that name. Like, they're really sticking to the whole, like, nameless thing as far as the Whisperers, and I'm okay with that. So apparently Lydia had screamed prior to this. She's a kid, so I understand, but having a mother like Alpha and doing that's kind of scary. So then the story jumps to the present. They're at the Walker camp. Alpha and Beta are chatting. He's shaving her head. I don't know about you guys, but I do like the scenes when those two bond and he's like shaving her head and stuff. It's like he's the only person that she trusts and vice versa, and I think it's awesome. I'm glad they didn't go the romance route or something with them, because sometimes with TV shows they tend to take liberties. I'm glad that Angela Kang is staying within that line, even though you can tell that they both care about each other. There's no like crazy sex scene or anything like that, don't mind me. So Beta never doubts her, and Alpha's like, listen, you take the two sisters and go out and do your mission, because those two sisters kind of have a feel of the walkers or something to that effect. So Alpha and Beta's first encounter is intimidating because the sight of him in all that garb is extremely intimidating. He's far away. The hallway is like shadowy and scary looking. So yeah, it's intimidating. And he basically allows Alpha and Lydia to stay in that hallway for one night because of everything that's going on outside with the walkers and such, making all that noise. So Lydia asks Alpha if Beta is a monster, and Alpha's just like, we all are monsters. So right there, we're seeing like where her mind is, where her rationale is. Yeah, last time we saw her in a flashback, she had lost it. So yeah, she's still teetering down to madness and insanity. So Beta takes the two sisters. We don't really know their names, but I was watching like early in the morning, and on closed captioning, it said Frances. So Frances is, I believe, the younger sister, and the other older sister, who's played by actress Thora Birch, she doesn't have a name. So I'm just going to call her actress Thora Birch because I don't want to get confused with the two sisters. So anyway, Beta's mission is to gather a huge herd of walkers. So all of a sudden, Frances, the other sister, starts zoning out, and like she sees the sun, and the sun is warm on her face, and I'm just like, what is going on with Frances at this point? And she's kind of daydreaming, and her sister, played by Thora Birch, is just kind of like, dude, can you stop doing this? Because if you keep doing this, then Beta is going to see that or think that we're not committed to the cause, and he's gonna kill us or tell Alpha to kill us, and I just don't want that. And then the sister says something like, damn, I wish I had left you behind. I'm just like, okay, I see where this sisterhood is going. Clearly this sister, played by Thora Birch, has some sort of goal to do something. I'm like, what is up with her? Seriously, she's seriously playing this part and being a part of the Whisperers. So then I realized that Frances, the daydreamer, is much weaker than her sister. She's sweet and she's emotional. I was like, yeah, you're not going to last long, sweetheart. So then we jump back 7 years, and Alpha's cleaning the blood off of Lydia, and she's comforting her. That's like one of the first times that you see Alpha being a mom for like 2 seconds, or at least putting on the guise of being a mom. And really, if you think about it, I don't even think she's ever been a mom. Honestly, I think that she just went through the motions, but really all this of what she is now in the zombie apocalypse is who she really is. So Beta hears Alpha humming, and he does not like that. The only sound that he really likes is the sound of the dead. So yeah, we see that Alpha and Beta are just as strange as the other is. But Alpha doesn't believe that they should have names. She starts talking about how without having names, people end up knowing each other on a primal level. And I'm like, okay, now I'm understanding where this idea of the Whisperers came from and the way they are and such, and how she just kills without a second thought. So apparently Beta was chased out of his camp by the dead a few months prior to this situation. And as I said before, he likes the sound of the dead. So we jump now and we see Beta communicating with the herd. He's in like, it looked like an underground parking lot or something, and there's like walkers on the other side, and he's like growling with the herd, and I thought that was an interesting scene. And then we see Frances the Daydreamer, and apparently now I realize why she looks so familiar. She was the chick who had the baby outside a hilltop and she dropped off her baby. Yeah, Walking Dead, the writers decided, you know what, we're going to close out that storyline. We're going to do what Power does. If you don't know what Power is, it's a popular show on Starz. And a lot of times they will go back and tie up loose ends in a way that you're just like, I completely forgot about this character, but okay, this makes sense. Walking Dead is doing the same exact thing story-wise. So all of a sudden, Frances becomes overcome with emotion, and she starts like flashing back to that whole situation of her leaving the baby. Beta basically has to kill 2 walkers to protect this chick, and she's still crying over her son, the one she left at Hilltop, and her show of emotion is weakness, because in the Whispers, you're not supposed to have any feelings, you're not supposed to have any emotions at all. So they're back at camp, and Frances is begging for her life, and Alpha stops this other Whisperer from killing Frances. Why? I'm just like, I don't know, but I'm worried about Frances at this point. Like, is she gonna die anytime soon? Like, what is happening? Beta says she's a weak link, and essentially Frances is a weak link. So apparently Alpha misses Lydia, obviously. Surprise, surprise. It surprised me as well in the comics, but I'm not going to tell you the whole story arc of that, but it surprised me in the comics as well when she showed a teensy bit of emotion. Lydia, Alpha, and Beta apparently have hidden themselves or are in some sort of insane asylum because Lydia starts talking about the pillows on the wall or something like that. And all of a sudden, Lydia is just like, Mommy, I don't want my stuffed bunny anymore. I want to be a big girl. I want to be just like you. I don't want to be afraid anymore. And Alpha's happy that Lydia feels this way because she's like, if you didn't, I was going to have to abandon you. And I'm just like, damn. Straight to the point, even with your daughter. But it makes sense as to why Alpha is the way she is towards Lydia later on. But then you also understand, being that Lydia is a young woman during this time and everything is primal. I'm thinking back to the comic book. I won't go too much into that, but I think you know exactly where I'm going. So in order to survive, you got to take out your emotions. It's a hard thing to do. And then Alpha reveals that, you know what, she doesn't want to be called Mom. So now I understand why Lydia is calling Alpha later on. So jump back to now. Frances meets Alpha in the dark place because Alpha was like, listen, Beta, bring this chick to the dark place so I can deal with her. That whole scene was scary. I thought that Frances was going to die. When she didn't, then I was like, okay, what is Alpha doing if she's not going to kill her? And the next thing you know, Frances is begging for her life, and she offers to stop talking about her son. Alpha makes her kneel down and remove her mask. I'm just like, all right, here is where Alpha's going to kill her. She doesn't. She just lets her cry on her, like kind of cry on her belly, and Alpha's stroking her face. But I really thought Frances was a goner. I thought it was a done deal with Frances. So then we see Frances again. She comes back. She's a little lighthearted. She's a little bit happier. I'm just like, what is going on? Because this is not how the Whisperers, how they do things. Like, how's this chick still alive and she's happy? These people don't seem happy. They just seem like they hold their emotions inside for the most part. She's a little bit more upbeat. And all of a sudden, this other Whisperer was like, listen, remember how Hilltop was? Remember with the livestock and everything? We could leave right now. We could head back to Hilltop. As if Alpha would ever allow that to happen. As if somebody wouldn't be a mole or a spy or something and tell on them for this. But that's beyond the point at this point. And Frances's sister kind of pulls Frances away from this chick, like, put miles between you and her, because this is not good. So then Beta is like talking to Alpha, and he's pissed that Frances is still alive. He tells her that the others are talking about Hilltop and how this life looks to them, and it looks pretty good to them. And Alpha's like, well, you know, that life is a lie. Basically acting like everything's going to be fine, I'll handle this. But clearly something's going on with Alpha in this episode. Then Beta says, are you happy? Are you here with us? Because I've seen you wander at night. And she's just like, why are you following me? I'm like, okay, all right. So maybe there is a little bit of a kind of tear within this bond where... And it kind of switches, because at one point in this episode, when Alpha meets Beta, Beta's standoffish, and now you see Beta's kind of close to Alpha, and Alpha's standoffish. It's amazing how things come back full circle. So then they jump back to the past. Alpha's humming. She encounters one walker, because apparently the walkers decided if we can't come through the front, we're just going to come in any way we feel like. And Alpha's battling them, and for a minute it looks like she's overcome, and then here comes Beta to save her. And there's a sequence where they fight together, which I thought was really cool. I like the lighting, I like the fighting choreography, everything about it was pretty cool. And Alpha kind of tells Beta, listen, I liked killing with you, so here's where their bond began. And then Beta sees her gutting this walker without like scrunching up her face or getting grossed out. And he's just like looking at her like, oh my God, you're different. You're just like me. And Alpha and Beta kind of bond over not trusting people. And Alpha calls Beta Mr. B at this time, or Big Man, because he's a big man. Big man. And she calls herself A, obviously. Get it? Alpha, Beta, A, B. And Alpha's just like, in this world, we're going to have to become walkers, move with them, and feel nothing to survive. Because there are two types of people left in this world. There are people who are brave enough to walk with the dead. And then there's everyone else. And she's right. And I think we've heard this before in the series. I think so. I think Shane said something about this in the first couple seasons. And I think somebody else said it. I think at one point, Negan said something like this. Gareth with Terminus, I think Joe said something about this. I also think that the governor said something about this as well. Like we've heard this in the series before. And Alpha's trying to figure out who Beta really is, and she's about to soothe him. Like, she kind of touches his face and he pulls back, and he's just like catching her hand and telling her, no, you leave at sunrise. No, I'm not getting close to you. I'm not getting close to anybody else. Not again. So then we see now, and we see Frances with her sister. She's gushing over being alone with Alpha. She feels like Alpha's powerful, and Alpha made a sacrifice, which was Lydia, because they all believe that Alpha killed Lydia, and Alpha didn't shed not one tear. And her sister, Frances' sister, tells her she didn't cry because she's Alpha. And Frances asks her sister, like, you know, were you telling the truth? Did you really mean that you wish you had left me behind? And she never answered her. And then I'm looking at Thora Birch's sister character like, yeah, what are you about to do to your sister? More importantly, can you be trusted in general? Because I don't think you can at all. Something off about her. So then later on, we see the Whisperers traveling again in a herd, as if they haven't had enough of traveling with herds with Francis along. Like, Francis should have stayed behind, but no, Alpha had a plan clearly. So it was Alpha, Beta, some other Whisperers, Francis, and her sister, played by Thora Birch. And as they are like, because there's like a herd this way, and then there's Alpha in the group this way, and they're all trying to converge. And what do we see, or what do they see? That same Russian satellite on fire, falling from the sky. But again, like our heroes in the first episode, they have no idea what the hell it is. It looks like a burning shooting star. It could be an asteroid, it could be anything. At this point, they're just like, whoa, that is awesome. So basically, this whole mission is to grab a herd, because clearly Beta failed at that point earlier in the episode because of Francis. And once again, Francis messes everything up again, because she ends up zoning out after seeing one walker with a baby harness. And the next thing you know, she's jumping on Alpha's back after having these flashbacks about herself giving up the baby. And I think she sees Connie holding the baby, and Daryl saying something to Alpha about Alpha bringing a baby to this whole situation. And honey, she's jumping on Alpha. And when I watched it initially, I thought she was jumping on that walker, because I looked away once again on my phone. I really got to stop doing that when I watched this show the first time. It was like a split second. But the second time I saw it, I said, holy crap, she's trying to attack Alpha. And Alpha's fighting back, but she's not really fighting this girl. And the walkers are closing in. All of a sudden, her sister comes and pushes her behind off of Alpha and ends up pushing her into that crowd of walkers. And Francis is no more, because they use her as Walker chow, Walker dinner, Walker snacks, Walker foie gras, Walker whatever. She's just sustenance for them. They tear her apart, and all you hear is her screaming. Her sister doesn't even like think anything of it. She's just looking at Alpha, because she obviously had a plan. Like, she obviously was looking for a way to get rid of her sister, because her sister was going to be in the way of whatever plan it is that she has. That's what I think. So later on in this scene, they're back at camp, and Alpha removed Thora Birch, sister number one's mask off her face. And basically, that sister said that she felt like she had to protect the Alpha, or Alpha, and that's why she sacrificed her sister. And Alpha's just amazed by this. But I'm wondering, is Alpha amazed by this to the fact that this girl could just kill her family all willy-nilly? Like, what is Alpha thinking, and how is this going to work out? Is Alpha essentially going to end up killing this chick later on? Is this chick going to turn on Alpha? Like, there's something about this character for me. She's going to be interesting for the next couple episodes, or however long she lives in this series at this point. But anyway, Alpha seems okay. She gives off the impression to her that she's okay with that, but I beg to differ. I really do. Alpha says that she sees greatness in this girl, and the girl asks if she should repair the tear. Now, that whole line could be interpreted two different ways. She could be talking about the tear in Alpha's mask, which I didn't see once we see Alpha with the mask on again. Or she could be talking about the tear in the Whisper community, meaning those who are thinking about jetting and heading back to Hilltop. I think it's the latter more than the former. And whoever wrote that line, kudos to that person, because it really makes you think, and you start realizing, like, this chick is really trying to get into Alpha's good graces. Later on, it seems like she's trying to get into Beta's good graces. Or is she thinking about becoming Alpha's, like, second in command? Like, what is her major malfunction? That's why I like this character. Even though she's shady, and they're going to have to keep their eye on her, I kind of like that character. So, Beta wonders why Alpha is so calm after they lost 3 Whisperers, including Francis. And Alpha's like, you know, there is clarity amid the chaos. And that clarity means Thora Birch's character, the sister. Alpha kind of likes her, and she's just like, this chick fears nothing. But she's also a scary character, too. She's kind of freaky, in my opinion, because I'm like, can Alpha and them trust her? What is she trying to do? I keep asking that question. So we go back to the past. Lydia takes some entrails, rubs them on herself, and decides she's going to try to go off alone. For some reason, she reminded me so much of Carl, like doing that when Carl was still a part of the series. And I was just like, what is this child going to get herself into? And she keeps saying, we're all monsters now. We're all monsters now. And I'm like, what is she up to? What is she doing? So then we jump back to now, and Francis's sister, played by Thora Birch, is crowned Gamma, Alpha, Beta, Gamma, meaning she's the third in command. This happens later on in the episode. I'm jumping over this, obviously. Forgive me for that. But Beta is really concerned about Alpha, and Gamma kind of tries to come up to Beta and says, are you mad at me? I feel nothing. And Beta looks at her like, I feel nothing for you. So I'm wondering, like, is Gamma kind of like Beta? Like, again, what is this chick's motive? But again, she's not known as Gamma at this point. She's sister. Number one, in my opinion. Obviously, the feeling is not returned from Beta. He's got his eye on her. Really, I think he had his eye on both of those sisters. But now he has his eye on her. Like, what is this chick up to? So we jump back to the past. Alpha wakes up. Lydia is gone. She's walking around saying, we're all monsters now. I'm talking about Lydia. And I really feel like Lydia's going to go outside by herself. She's going to be the female version of Carl and get herself caught up in something, and they're going to have to save her, something like that. So then Alpha, basically being a mother, using what little motherly instinct she has, she starts looking around. Despite the fact that Beta told her to stay in one place and don't be going around looking in these rooms, she does. And she comes upon a picture of some people at a camp. And then this one particular picture where this guy's face is scrubbed out and the other face of this dude with a cowboy hat is scrubbed out. So I'm wondering, is cowboy hat dude Beta? And he didn't want anybody to see his face for some reason. But I'm kind of glad they did that because I kind of don't want to see his face. I like the mystery when it comes to Beta. But anyway, we jump back to now. And Beta finds Alpha because Miss Thang, played by Thora Birch, she tells Beta, like, I saw Alpha and she was by the old camp. So Beta finds Alpha, and apparently she made some sort of shrine to Lydia. It's her way of grieving Lydia. And this is when Beta realizes this chick was lying. Lydia is still alive. And Alpha's holding Lydia's rabbit. And basically Beta has to break it to her, like, listen, she's not coming back. You're going to have to deal with this. Basically, Alpha, you broke your word. I was like, what is Beta going to try to do to Alpha? Even though I know what I know and what happens in the comics, I'm like, what are these writers going to do? Like, what is Beta about to do? And Alpha's like, the other whisperers can't know. Please don't tell them they cannot know. And I'm thinking in the back of my mind is like, Thora Birch's character hidden somewhere. Like, is somebody else around there? Like, part of me is wondering, because I'm very skeptical about things, and I'm always looking when it comes to TV series, like, who heard this? Who's seeing this? I'm sure later on somebody picked up on something. They're just not saying anything, but eventually they will end up saying something. Alpha's like, Lydia's dead to me. She was dead when she was born because she's not like me. Again, I'm just like, yeah, Alpha was one of those mothers that went through the motions of being a mother, but should never have been a mother because there was something wrong mentally with Alpha. So, in the past, we see Beta. He is pissed that Alpha is in this special room. On top of the fact that Alpha killed or basically put down this walker who I put two and two together, and I realized that this walker was essentially his friend. And let's just say Beta is about to kill Alpha. Here comes Lydia saying that Alpha was trying to save him, and that kept him from killing Alpha. And so the story begins. So Alpha coaxes Beta to walk with her so that he will never walk alone again. And he says, I am the end of the world. And Alpha is just like, no, we are the end of the world. And he lets her see his face. And I was so happy that they did not show us his face, because I was like, I don't want to see this dude's face. I don't want to see it. leave it to like a mystery. And if they decide to do it later on, fine. But at this point, I'm like, I don't want to see his face. Let him be like he is in the comics. But I'm sure at one point the writers might decide to show us his face. So I'm not going to be surprised when that happens. Beta is just like, I can't leave my friend here. I can't go without him. And Alpha comes up with the idea of him skinning the friend, and then we see a flash forward to now where Beta is wearing that half mask, and we learn that that is the friend's face, and he basically skinned him and scalped him and put that on his head. Gross, disgusting, but it makes sense. It makes a lot of sense, and I kind of like this idea because we get like a background on Beta's mask, so we get to know about that, because again, in the comics we didn't know anything about this. So we jump back to the future. Beta saw smoke by the border, and that let Alpha realize and Beta realize that somebody crossed the border. And I think who she's referring to, even though she doesn't know who it is Daryl and Carol, because they did kind of cross the border. So anyway, okay. Beta tells Alpha that he saw smoke by the border, and I think that's coming from the Russian satellite. It's like letting off smoke after our heroes put out the fire and everything. So Alpha's like, the enemy crossed the border. Now it's time for us to teach them a lesson. Now, as I've said it before, and I've said it in other reviews, I like Alpha and Beta's bond. And I look forward to seeing more of it, even if it's like bits and pieces. And Alpha's like, when we teach them a lesson, the pack will watch. We are going to go back, meaning Alpha's going to head back to Hilltop and Alexandria and stuff, because apparently folks didn't listen in her eyes. Folks didn't listen to what the hell she said. So now it's time to teach him a lesson. And then I like the part where Alpha and Beta say this thing together. But before I get to that, I think I forgot to say that Alpha labeled Thora Birch's character as Gamma, and they had like a whole sequence, maybe like a scene or two before this, where you hear Alpha saying to Gamma, and everybody's like, Gamma, Gamma, and you see them go down the line of whispers, and Beta's in the back. That's why I'm just like, Beta's side-eyeing Gamma, like, what is this chick? Like, what's going on with her? What is she going to do? And what is up with Alpha at this point? So anyway, back to what I was saying. Alpha and Beta say this together. We walk in darkness, we are free. We bathe in blood, we are free. We love nothing, we are free. We fear nothing, we are free. We need no words, we are free. We embrace all death, we are free. This is the end of the world. Now is the end of the world. We are the end of the world. And then we see the Whisperers all moving. It's light out. And they're all moving with the pack of, with the herd of walkers, and they're moving somewhere. And Alpha kind of breaks off as she goes to the edge of, like, because I think they're on like a mountain or a cliff or something. She goes to the edge and she looks up and she makes this face. And I'm just like, that's the point where she's looking at Carol. So all the stuff came back full circle as far as the storyline is concerned. So if I had to rate this episode, I think I'd give this episode a 9 out of 10. Because I actually like this episode. It was a good one. Anything involving Alpha and Beta, Samantha Morton, and Ryan Hurst is fine by me. As for the promo for the third episode, it's about to go down. And I'm wondering when Denai Guerrera's character is leaving, because this time they really didn't tell us, and they did put a kibosh on all the spoilers, so we don't know when the hell she's leaving, but I think it's early in this season, based upon the fact that somebody said that they saw a post where Norman Reedus was saying how he missed Denai Guerrera and everything. And yeah, I went to the panel, but they didn't give us too much as far as that at all. which I'm happy about because those spoilers annoy me. But anyway, rate this video. Let me know what you thought about this particular episode. I'm going to label it as spoilers because I'm probably going to end up posting it early, but I'm putting like big spoilers on it so I don't spoil it. Or I might end up just posting it at exactly like 10 o'clock so people can see it. But I'm going to upload it and I'm going to keep it on private because I'm going to kind of like write my description and everything. But let me know what you thought. And if you want to continue to watch this and watch my reviews, then hit that subscribe button and subscribe to my brand of crazy so we can talk all about The Walking Dead. Also, check me out on Tuesdays at 7 p.m. because I'll be chatting all about The Walking Dead for an entire hour and you can join in and join the conversation. And as for these reviews, they will pop up on Sundays after the episode ends because I've decided on that. I am at SageValentine84 on Instagram and on TV Code. The app is free. Download it. You'll see my vlogs and you will see my lives because I try to hold them so those who can't watch them can go on and watch them later on. Also, I'm on Twitter, I'm Sage Valentine, Facebook, Sage Valentine, and I think I'm on Periscope, I'm Violet Sunrise as well. So, I love you all, take care, and I'll see you again. Even if you skip through this video, it doesn't matter to me as long as you watched it. So, peace out, guys. Love you all. Bye, guys. Bye.